Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Well, it's another freaking gloomy morning. What is going on out here? Doesn't matter to us, because we live in this apartment. We don't ever go anywhere. So, let's go ahead and keep doing that. I am not happy. I'm not happy. Guys, I need to get my life together. I think the first step to doing that will be to finally memorize this freaking Adagio. So, that's what I'm gonna do. And I need to learn the rest of the Presto. That's gonna be the main focus for today. Adagio, Presto, and then after that, I will finally be complete as a person, I think. That's how it feels. I would love to have that Adagio and Fugue memorized. And I have the Fugue, which is like the hardest part. That's everything. And then the Soar Mozart variation, of course. I need to work on that. I don't know if I hit a breakthrough with that one, but I've been doing something with it. Those theory lessons are pretty fun, huh? I wonder what I ended up naming them. I am gonna name those chronologically, so you can kind of follow along. That might even be one that I compile like I did with that one Voss Rutten video. That'd be kind of cool. Well, that pretty much covers that stuff. I don't even need the notepad. I know what I'm doing. Adagio and Presto. Okay, well, that leaves us with this part. So, I've been taking this time to answer comment questions, so let's take a look at the comment section. There aren't a whole lot of new ones right now. Well, how about this? I'll take the time to mention this, since I've never mentioned it before. I made a Sore Hands Instagram account. Have you guys ever looked at that? So, you know, if you want to follow me on Instagram, the link is in the bio. I'll go ahead and take a picture for it right now. I just took a picture for it. It's of my Avenged Sevenfold vinyls that I hang on my wall. Dedicated wall for Avenged Sevenfold there. I just uploaded to my Instagram. There will maybe be slightly more insight into my life. You'll see things from different angles. Like you might see what's on my fridge up there. So if you're interested in that, there it is. I think that pretty much covers that. I feel bad not answering a question. Let's answer one softball question. Okay, here's a softball. So this one is from Bert Mantooth. Hi, how's it going? So you asked, do you ever jam some Grateful Dead? And then you said some Jerry. I don't know what some Jerry is. My name's Cameron. But no, I've taught the Grateful Dead. I think like 2 students in my entire career of teaching. So that's the only time I've ever actually listened to and learned Grateful Dead songs. They're okay. I don't really jam them though. I'm more of a pop punk metal kind of guy, hence my Avenged Sevenfold vinyls. I do jam that. I jam My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. Sometimes I'll just put that album on and just play along with it. Alright, well, I think that was a pretty unfocused rambling session. So let's get to practicing. Hopefully I can gain my bearings. I'm kind of buzzing from that caffeine pill I took like an hour ago. So, alright, let's get to it. Man, this has been a hard week for me to wake up early. It's not always like this. I don't know what the deal is. It's those dang YouTube shorts, you know? Alright, well, I mean, I'm gonna start with the Fugue. Then the Adagio and Presto will be the main focus for this part. So, I'll see you on the other side. Okay, as I promised, I've been mainly focusing on the Presto and the Adagio. I think next time I'm going to play the Presto for you because, you know, I've mainly just been working on the second page and the first page, getting that all up to speed. So I'm going to play the Adagio. Well, let me bring you closer. No, it's not going to be from memory, but I am going to play the whole thing. So, you know, just sit back and relax. And that was the Adagio. What do you think of that? Pretty good, right? Just need to get that sucker memorized, and then after you hear that chord, it'll be... And then it goes into that. So when I do that for an extravaganza, that'll be like 9 minutes right there, I think. I'll try to play it fast. All right, well, we can take a little bit of a break. So let's take a little bit of a break, shall we? Breaky break, breaky break. I know that the very last episode that we did, it was a theory episode, but I know that you're itching for another one. And I feel like it makes more sense to do this in the morning because I'm kind of teaching a lesson now. And then tonight, we're going to keep working on that Manuel documentary, and maybe the Segovia documentary. We'll see which one I go with. That's kind of a nice mix. Like in the morning, it's a lesson. At night, it's a movie. So last time, we went through all the basics. And if you missed that, go ahead and watch that. Unless you already know what you're doing, in which case we're going to be all good. Now, the next lesson here is rhythm and meter, where we learn about simple and compound meter. For our purposes right now, we don't really need that, because we mainly just want to learn about harmony and how we can use that to help memorize and interpret music. So let's just blow past rhythm and meter. We'll kind of learn that in context. Now, something that is important, let's spend this lesson just going over scales and key signatures. How's that sound? Let's start with the major scale. The major scale, what the heck is this thing? Get that out of here. All right, I love this definition of a scale. A scale is a selection of certain notes within an octave. Well, let's talk about what an octave is. Remember that spiral thing that I mentioned last time? How you can have like A, and then it's like a circle and you come back to A again, but it's really like a spiral because you come back to A but it's higher. That's an octave right there. Now why do we call it an octave? Well, if we remember all the notes that we listed, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, how many notes are in between A and A? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an octave. That's why we call it that. And a scale is a certain selection of notes between an octave. It says here that the major scale is constructed with a formula, and the formula consists of a series of whole steps and half steps. We learned what that was last time. We're going to start with the C major scale, and I'm going to just give you the formula. I'm not going to give you the physical reasons why the major scale is what it is. We're kind of just learning what it is. We can go into the why, we can do all that later, but right now we're just kind of defining all of the things that we're going to be seeing. So here's what a major scale is. Remember, B, C, and E, F, those are your two half steps. Here's the formula for a major scale. First we have our root, so we start with a root note, and then we have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Once we do that half step, that brings us to the octave C. Here's a quick way to pretty much build any scale. First, just start with the natural notes, the letters. So what's after C? It's D, E, F, G, and then after G is A, B, C. Okay, now we're just going to check to make sure that the whole steps and half steps work out. And if they do, we have ourselves a, whatever the root is, major scale. So C to D, that's a whole step, that works. D to E, that's whole. E to F, that's our half step. Whole, 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 half. So we didn't have to change anything. Isn't that nice? C major is the only scale that you're going to get where you don't have to include any accidentals, and you will get a major scale if you just start on C. Let's start on like D, for example. Like I said, how you can start with spelling any scale, just start on the letter, that's the root, D, and then just go through the alphabet until you get back to D again. So D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. There we go. If we try this out, D to E, that's a whole step. E to F, that's a half step. Ooh, what do we do here? Here's what we do. We know that E to F is a half step. So imagine this is 1. So we're going to go back to our numbers, like frets. 1, E would have to be 3, because a whole step is 2, right? Well, E to F will be 4, because that's 1 higher. And then F to G, that's a whole step. That would be 6. So essentially what we need to do is move F to 5, to the 5 position. And how we're going to do that is we're going to make it sharp. We're going to raise it. Hashtag F sharp, everybody. And if we do that, we will end up with the F sharp on the 5 position, which works out. So now we have whole, whole, and our F sharp to G will be a half step. Okay? And now same thing here. G to A is whole. All right, so we have whole, whole, half, whole. That's working out so far. Whole. And now B, C, that's a half step. So we do the same thing. Make C, C sharp, and boom, there we go. All right, cool. So we have that. So a D major scale would be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Which, we have the theory now. We know what we're doing. Here's some rules with guitar. So we have a note, right? To play a half step, we go one higher. Alright, makes sense. To play a whole step, we go two higher. Now, that's simple enough, but how do we play half steps and whole steps across strings? When you're playing scales on guitar, generally, and this is how I do it, and I think that this makes the most sense, you should only change strings on the whole step, because a whole step on guitar... Well, actually, before that, let me actually preface this. On guitar, we play scales in positions, and what that means is, let's take third position, for example. Your index finger is on the 3rd fret, and in third position, you have 4 notes that you can play. Index on 3, middle on 4, ring on 5, pinky on 6. To do a whole step with crossing strings, you play pinky, and then index on the next string. And that is a whole step. So if we're gonna go through our major scale, we can start on 2, which I'm saying third position 2 right now. So that doesn't mean 2nd fret. Third position 2, whole step, and then whole step again by going across. And then half step, whole, across again, whole, then whole step, and then half, and that brings us up the octave. So that's how you play a major scale on the guitar. And what's nice about that is you can move that anywhere. And if you want to complete the position, you just do the same thing right here. So, starting with the root again. We have our root, go whole step, half step. Now, on the 3rd to 2nd string, things change. We're one note closer together. So now a whole step looks like that. Whole step, and then we're back to normal. Boom. And that's what we got. So a good way to start improvising with scales, I found this kind of useful. Start thinking of the pulse. Limit yourself to just like one string or so. So, for example, in this, if I were to start just on the 1st string, and I can start anywhere, let's start like in G, so the same exact scale. I'm actually going to start in B because my arm's kind of cramped. So that note's B, and we just build our major scale off of it. Right? Start on just the 1st string, and play to a pulse. And play any notes you want. And you can repeat notes. And we don't really need any regard for the chord that we're trying to play right now. Just play the scale, just to get used to it. And then once you get really comfortable with that, move on to the next string. Do all the different combinations. Maybe speed the pulse up. Move on to the next one. And eventually, you're going to speed that pulse up. Eventually, once you get really comfortable with that, hold some notes out for 2 beats instead of 1. And cut some of them in half. Slide into some of them from the outside notes. And then use your whole steps and half steps to venture out. Like, you know, if you can play a whole step here, you can also play a whole step here. And then a whole step, half step. Add some outside notes. Right? And then, of course, play multiple notes at the same time. And everything I'm playing there, it's all based on the pulse. Even though it doesn't sound like it, I'm also swinging it. That was a lot, I know. And the first step, though, is just learn a scale in one position and just play to a pulse and get really, really comfortable with it. And then you can start adding some of that stuff in later. But that's really all it is. Start with a pulse, hold some of them out for 2 pulses, cut the pulse into halves and into thirds, swing it once you're ready, and then you're going to be playing stuff. And we're just talking about scales right now. Eventually you can start adding in harmony within the scales, and we'll talk about like building chords out of scales. Alright, we should also learn the minor scale really quick. Now, I know this kind of involves a major bias, which some people get a little touchy about, but I have a major bias, I don't care. So, start with any major scale. Let's say C major, for example. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's kind of our master scale, because it's the one that doesn't require any accidentals, and it works out to a major scale. Go to the 6th note, which in this case is A. There's freaking music outside, just ignore that. A, we call that scale degree when we like count the notes, so the 6th scale degree is A. Now, just build your scale on A without changing anything. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And boom, you got yourself an A natural minor scale. So that sounds like this. It's the same exact thing as major, you're just changing the root to the 6th scale degree. Now, there are a few different minor scales to talk about. First is harmonic minor. That's kind of important for what we're doing here. Harmony. And what we're going to do to make natural minor harmonic minor is we're going to add something called the leading tone. So we're going to make G, G sharp. And what that does, because think about your whole steps and half steps, we have G, A, those are your 2 notes. We make it a leading tone by putting it right next to A. So now it's a half step. Now it sounds like this. What makes it harmonic minor is that the G sharp is the identifying note of the dominant chord. We'll talk about what dominant function is in a bit, don't worry. But just know that it's a leading tone. And you can make anything a leading tone, just put it a half step below whatever you want to lead to, and it's going to naturally feel like a leading tone. Like that. The last one's kind of weird, it's melodic minor. So we have natural, harmonic, and melodic. And basically melodic minor is just a major scale with a flat 3, which, what do I mean by flat 3? Oh my god, I forgot to even talk about this. The next part of the lesson is scale degree. Sorry, this is a little bit out of order, but we should have talked about scale degree first, so here we go. Let's take a major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And let's just number the notes like the number system that you're used to. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to remember that these numbers are not all the same distance. 3 and 4 and 7 and 1 are half steps. They're right next to each other. We can use this to spell out scale formulas. So for example, a major scale will just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, now for a minor scale, it would be 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. That's the natural minor scale. And basically what we're doing there is we're taking that half step and making it a whole step and making 2 and 3 the new half step by making it a flat 3. So it works the same way as flats for the notes that we were just talking about. So this will help kind of show all the different scales that we have. Alright, next is harmonic minor. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and then natural 7. So it's like the 7 that occurs in a major scale. That's what makes a natural minor harmonic minor. And lastly, melodic minor, we have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So everything else is like the major scale after that. So we have a bias to the major scale because that's like our default right now. And like I said, not everybody agrees with that. That's what we're doing though because it makes it easier. Melodic minor is that on the way up. And then on the way down, it's natural. So it matters if you're ascending or descending when you play that scale. Those are the main scales that we're going to encounter. Lastly, we do need to go over this before we can move on. Let's talk about key signatures because we need to be able to figure that out. So we covered scales. If there's like a ton of demand for it, I'll slow it way down and really explain those scales because we kind of just blew through it. But, you know, it's there, so hopefully you can decipher it. Next we have intervals, which that is when things are going to start getting exciting because then we can talk about how to play different intervals on the guitar and how they relate to the major scale, which will be cool. That'll be next time though, in the next morning session, I presume. Let's go ahead and get back to practicing. I'll see you on the bench. Alright, well, hopefully that was fun for you. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment if you have a question about anything, or maybe if you want a lesson on anything, I can try to put that together too. Just let me know. Alright, well, I'll see you tonight.